Hi, my name is Barbara Allen. I am author of the book Conquering Arthritis. It's been the #1 best-selling arthritis book on Amazon.com for over 5 years. Today I am going to be talking about martial arts, in particular board breaking, and what I've learned about healing from arthritis through this practice. And I've got a board here today, which I will be breaking. But first, I'm going to kind of set you up to get the full benefit of what I'll be doing, because even if board breaking seems kind of esoteric and it doesn't have anything to do with your life, there are really some important lessons to be learned. So the first thing that I'm wanting to illustrate actually is that even though my hands were once so painful that I couldn't turn doorknobs without a lot of pain, all my pens and pencils had these adapters because it was hard to close my hands very much. I had a hard time touching anything that was cold, like a cold steering wheel or pulling something out of the freezer. Now they're just fine. So the first thing I'm wanting you to get is that it is possible to cure arthritis, even really severe arthritis. I was in a wheelchair for years. And then the second thing is that healing arthritis isn't just a physical healing. There's almost always an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual component to any kind of healing, including arthritis. And the act of board breaking, it revolutionized my thinking about this process because it so clearly demonstrated what was going on. So when I was taught how to break a board in my dojo, we were asked to write an obstacle on the board. So the board represents an obstacle. And the first time I broke a board, I was actually successful because the obstacle that I wrote was that I was afraid that someday I might get arthritis again. And what it showed me was, because I was successful, that that's not really a real fear. And the key to me was it matters so much to be healed and to be well that I was able to connect with the space behind the board. So one of the principles in healing is that you've got to, no matter how solid, how impossible it seems to break through whatever obstacle, whether it's healing arthritis or anything else, you've really got to connect to the space that will open up if you break through. And so there's really got to be something in your life that is so wonderful that you can connect to if you were healed, that it motivates you to go there. Otherwise, you know, who wants to hit up against that obstacle? You know, it just hurts. And so the first principle is striking all the way through, not stopping at the obstacle, but having a clean strike. The second principle, and the second time I broke a board in our dojo, I actually hurt my hand really badly. And there were two reasons. One is I didn't have proper technique. I didn't know what I was doing. I had never done a knife hand strike before. And with that, if you hit too high up, you can break bones. If you hit too low down, you can break bones. You have to hit right here on that part of your hand to correctly break the board. Anything else is going to hurt you. And with arthritis, there are many, many things that people try to heal themselves, but only certain techniques will actually work. And when they work really, really well. So it doesn't matter how many times you've mangled yourself using a technique that doesn't work. If you stop doing that and you do what works, you can actually successfully break a board. So the second time, when I wasn't successful, one, I had a wrong technique, and two, the obstacle that I had written on the board was one that I hadn't resolved yet. I didn't feel like I deserved actually to break through that barrier. And I had written down, I've got a tendency to rescue people in my life, and I will put their needs ahead of mine. And so I didn't want to do that rescuing anymore, but I didn't think I deserved it. If I have the time, energy, often before I did this exercise, I'll actually give it to somebody else before I'll let that time and energy fuel the wonderful things in my life that I'd rather be doing. And so I mangled my hand, and in that moment the sensei, the soka of my dojo said, "What did you just do?" And I knew I had pulled my punch where I didn't strike all the way through, and so I had like really intensified the way that I had mangled my hand. It was really an illumination, because I had not thought that I deserved that free space behind the board. And I was the only one that had kept me from doing that technique correctly. One, I hadn't inquired as to the right technique, and two, I didn't think I even deserved to do it correctly. So then my third big revelation came, because he said, "Okay, do it again." And here, you know, it's actually true that my hand swelled up later that night, and it took about 3 weeks to heal. And I was working with a hand that was very definitely mangled. It was very hurt. But when I actually connected with the space behind the board, and when I connected with the fact that I deserved to be in that space, and I used the correct technique, I never even felt the board as I broke it. It was so simple. It was so easy. And healing like with arthritis is like that too. Often what keeps us from our physical healing isn't that we can't do it. It's one, for some reason we haven't hit on the right technique, and two, we don't think we deserve it for some reason. There's still something unresolved. So I'm now going to break this board, and for you to get maximum benefit out of this process, I want you to imagine this very solid looking board being whatever it is that's keeping you right now from healing from arthritis. So name it in your head, really connect with it. And then I want you to realize that even something as solid as this, or as insurmountable as healing your arthritis might feel, on a molecular level, it's really an illusion that this is solid. It is mostly space. Atoms are mostly space. This is mostly atoms. And there's a way to connect with that spaciousness where the obstacle ceases to exist. And more than that, I want you to connect also with what it is in your life that truly makes your life worth living, that you could do more of, that you could do better if you were to heal your arthritis. What is it that would be so wonderful that you would be willing to completely move through the board, strike through that board, right into that life that's waiting for you? All right? Now we're going to break the board. All right, now it's time to break through whatever is preventing you from healing. You ready? Set. Here we go. Hi! So how was that for you when the board broke? Did you go right through that board? Or did you have some sort of obstacle that mentally or emotionally or spiritually kept you from breaking through your arthritis? This is really, really critical information, because if there is some sort of block and you have some inkling what it might be, now we can work with it. This is very, very rich territory. There are many different ways that I will be giving you in this coaching course so that you can work with these obstacles. And I just want you to make a note somewhere what it is, so that you'll have that available as we go through these different techniques. So no matter whether you were obstacle free, which is totally fantastic, or whether you hit an obstacle and you now have some inkling what it is, either way, this is fantastic information for you to know, and we'll be working with it in the next session.